here, and that'll get us at least started, and folks will hang out with us for a bit. Brian, appreciate you being on the show. We are, Sherwin probably already said it, we're longtime Falcons fans. I got my hat, I got my shirt on. We're so excited to talk to you, so appreciate you hanging out with us for a little bit.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. What we'll do is I'll start recording here in a bit, and then while I'm playing the intro and stuff, I might disappear for about 60 seconds, just the way all this technology stuff works out, all the wires that are going to all these different places. It's a hobby for us, so we have hobby level of, I don't know, of expertise. So is what it is.
And our mics will be hot when he disappears.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, yeah. Let's see.
And it might crackle a little bit, but that's not him coming back. It'll be very obvious when he comes back.
Yeah, I'll come back and you'll hear me,
okay.
and I'll intro and everything else, and we'll be good to go. Do you have a time limit? You got to be out in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 hours?
Yeah, 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, 25 minutes or so, we can make it work.
Yeah, perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, if I'm here 3 hours from now, there's major problems. So, well, great. With that, I think I've got everything loaded up and ready to go. Sherwin, you ready to go?
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm going to disappear from y'all for about 60 seconds, and I'll be right back. And here we go. We're recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is a Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 255. It's Tuesday, August 11th, 2020. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, and I'm all alone here in the PTM Podcast studio. Momentarily going to bring on our special guests for tonight. Before we do, this podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie and some stickers. Best part is every cent this year we're donating to sponsoring drivers. Join the PTM posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. Now, that all said, I'm going to do the read here in a little bit. But what we'll do in the meantime is bring on our very special guest. First guest up tonight. You know him. Co-host of the PTM Podcast studio from the PTM North Carolina office. Pregame engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Still on up here in Statesville. Not time to go find an apartment, though. I'm done with this hotel.
No kidding. That's about week number 3, right?
4.
but who's counting? Oh, that's awesome. Y'all, you might have heard a new theme song at the top of the show there. We will talk about that in a little bit. Some cool news and stuff going on. But in the meantime, want to go ahead and bring on our guest for tonight, retired wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, All-American recipient of the Walter Payton Award with Villanova, and host of the Front Row Talk Show on 680 The Fan in Atlanta. He's on Twitter at BFin86. It's number 86. Brian Finneran. Brian, what's up?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Doing awesome, man. It's great to have you. We appreciate you being here. We hopefully have some fun tonight and just hanging out like we always do. And that said, one thing we always do, Brian, is first thing we always have to ask all of our guests, what are you drinking tonight?
So it's a good question. My wife's on a bit of a diet kick, so there's not a ton of alcohol in the house, but I was able to find a little bit of wine, so I poured myself a glass of wine just to feel like I was part of the show.
My man. Now, what's the is it red, white, blue?
We lean heavy Cabernet.
Heavy red. Cabernet. My man. Yeah. I dig the reds myself.
Yeah. With that said, usually I would have a bottle of Crown or something in the basement, but not at this point in the diet.
So in the diet phase, do you did you like drink the house dry kind of thing beforehand, like the big binge, and then
right? Yeah, you've always got to set yourself up for success. So put on a little bit more weight and drink a little bit more before you know you're heading right into the hornet's nest and get ready to diet for the next month. So I'm supporting my wife, and we're trying to get on a little healthier kick right now. But yeah, absolutely, load it up before we started this thing.
Right on. I love it. Sherwin, what do you got tonight?
Same old. Bourbon and ginger.
Doing the thing. feeling the flow, working it. I love it. You know what? I had no time today, and then I looked around, and so I had to run upstairs, and I'm actually drinking a glass of water. So here, I'm the lame one, the third wheel here. So anyway, so Brian, we wanted to start here. We've got Shark Week coming up, and you've been tweeting a storm about it, and you also tweeted that Shark Week was always a staple for the Falcons training camp. It reminded you of that. Tell us about that. What was the vibe like for Shark Week in the Falcons training camp?
Well, it was probably, we used to start kind of late July, and then Shark Week would usually happen at the beginning of August. So think about being in training camp 2 days for, a week and a half, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, and same monotonous stuff. You go back to the room after meetings, you watch some garbage TV and get ready for bed and try to wake up for the next day and do it all over again like Groundhog's Day. Well, that gave us a little bit of a break from the norm, and I'm a huge Discovery and National Geographic guy and love watching those shows, love animals and doing all that stuff. So it really did. We sat back 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock at in our dorms and turned on Shark Week, and we did it. God, it must have felt like 7-8 years in a row. We just looked forward to it so much, just to break up the monotony of training camp. So it just reminded me of it big time.
What was one of your favorites, either shows or skits or whatever?
For Shark Week?
Yeah.
I'm almost over the celebrity part of it. I'm more about those sharks when they come out of the water and just destroy a sea lion, or watching them hunt and kill on the shoreline or whatever it is. Just watching them in action more than anything.
Sherwin, you were quite a Shark Week connoisseur yourself for a while.
Yeah, I love sharks. Brian might get a kick out of this. My dad showed me Jaws when I was 5.
Oh, my God.
Took me a long time to shake those nightmares. But now it's one of my favorite movies. So
now the question is, do you get in the water when you go to the beach?
That's why I go to the lake. There's less sharks there.
Oh man,
that's funny. It's we go to the beach. I love the beach. Grew up in Southern California, and bodyboarding and body surfing all the time, and never for a second did I ever think about sharks. And I was out there the last few years visiting my parents, and there was one moment where it was we rented a place down there in Newport Beach, California, and the night it was probably 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening, and I was the only one in the water. And when you're the only one in the water, bodyboarding, waiting for waves to come in, certain thoughts go through your head about just that, the sharks, and are they around, and what's going on beneath you, and it's pretty surreal, but never ever been frightened or don't have a fear of going in the water.
My whole beach thing, so I can't lay on the beach and just hang out. I don't know whether there's some sort of problem with me or whatever it is, but I'm not one of those just go sit on the beach. So every time I go, I'm always just swimming out to the buoys or whatever's out there as far as I can. I'm pretty buoyant, as it turns out, so I'm not saying I'm a super strong swimmer. I'm just a fat guy, which I think helps out with that. But I think I realized the first time I ever thought about it or ever thought, like, I probably shouldn't be out here, there were fishing boats pulling up king mackerel between me and the shore at one point, and I went, all right, this is too far. I went too far. So,
yeah.
Oops.
That's a little bit too much.
Overcooked your grits a little bit.
Yeah. So, swim on back and everything. Now, you mentioned growing up in SoCal and playing football there. You played at Villanova, of course. You played in Europe for a bit there and played in Atlanta, all over the place. What are some of the Europe, I guess, is the biggest one there with the, if I looked it up right, Barcelona Dragons and the NFL Europa. What's the scene like in Europe football? I know that's 20 years ago at this point, but how much different was it getting there for you?
God, that's crazy. 20 years ago, it was. So I was an undrafted free agent to the Seahawks. Got cut, sat out the whole '98 season, worked out, tried to stay in shape, and then my agent put my name in the NFL Europe draft and also in the Arena Football draft. So I got drafted by, like the San Jose Sharks or whatever it was at the time. The irony there is hilarious.
Yeah,
and
Shark
then,
Week.
in NFL Europe, and the Barcelona Dragons took me in the first round of that draft, and it truly was like a minor league system. The goal over there is really to play 1 year, get right, learn some things about your body and yourself and playing football and coming back and making it back to the league. And I was fortunate enough to have a really good team. My quarterback over there was Todd Bauman, hell of a quarterback. He was a backup in Minnesota, in New Orleans, and Baltimore in his career. And he fed me the rock, and I think I ended up with third in the league in catches and yards and touchdowns. But the scene itself in Barcelona wasn't that great. They're huge. Obviously, in Europe, soccer is king.
Right.
And we played in the huge stadium, Estadio de Barcelona, whatever it was called, and it sat 70,000, and we might have got 10 or 15, so it wasn't that great of an environment. But when we went to the three teams to play in Germany, in Rhine, Berlin, and Frankfurt, I'm talking 40,000 people screaming and cheering and loving the product. In Germany, they knew how to party, pre-game, and then cheer for you while you're out there. We also played in Amsterdam, which was decent, in Scotland. So experience itself was unbelievable, getting able to experience all those cities. You went, instead of like in the NFL, when you go travel to an away game, you fly in Saturday afternoon or evening, you spend the night, you play your game, you fly out. In Barcelona, in NFL Europe, you left on the day before the game, say Friday night if you're playing Saturday, and you spent the night Friday night, you played Saturday either at 1 o'clock or 7, and then you got to spend the next night there as well. So you got to experience the nightlife, walk around a little bit, and enjoy yourself. And it really was great for me, not only because I grew physically and I was able to learn a little bit about myself, put on about 10 pounds of muscle, and learn how to play a little special teams, and then worked on my craft a little bit too. So it was awesome. It really was special for me.
What was your favorite city to go visit in Europe while you were there?
Well, Amsterdam was off the hook. We we show up, and obviously in Amsterdam you can get really whatever you want. They had coffee shops are pretty much weed shops, Grasshopper. There was a place called the Grasshopper, and they sold shrooms and weed and really all. And there's a full menu. It's like you're going and ordering a cheeseburger at McDonald's, except you're ordering weed. So you go and you check that out, and not that we partaked or whatever. Not. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. And you literally got to walk around the city. You spent the night there and checked it all out, and get to see that environment was pretty neat. All the different canals and seeing all that stuff. And then Scotland was cool too, because you got to see all the castles. Everywhere we went, we got a little bit of tour of the city and the culture. And then the next night after the game, you got to go out and enjoy it. So I think it was the grand opening of the Hard Rock Cafe back in 1999 in Amsterdam. So just imagine that place, grand opening of a Hard Rock, free booze, free food, and then, God almighty, we must have stayed up till 4 a.m. doing whatever the hell we did.
It's a good thing. I mean, how many times do we say this? It's a good thing back when we were all sort of that age that social media didn't exist, because who knows if any of us would have jobs or girlfriends, wives, anything at this point with all that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We played in the World Bowl that year, and we lost to the Frankfurt Galaxy, and we played in Dusseldorf, I think is where the championship was. So that night, you reminded me of when you said that, because Lawrence Phillips, rest in peace, was our running back. He's no longer with us, but he had some moments after that game where social media was out and about, and people had camera phones and were doing some different things. That would have been something else. But we had a great group of guys. We had a great team, and yes, I'm glad that social media didn't really exist back in 1999.
What were the fans like in Europe? I mean, I know you said you go off to Germany, there's 40,000 people going bonkers. How do they differ from like the U.S.?
More diehard here. The guys, you think about the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. The loyalty and the history of the franchises, it's so deep in so many years. So that's the one thing that was lacking. But one funny thing, I think we were in Scotland, and they had the Scottish cheeseheads. And if you go Google me and maybe Scottish cheeseheads. There's a picture of me after we played the Claymores in Scotland with two dudes with cheeseheads and Scottish Claymore jerseys on as well. They tried to be as, fanatical as they could. And like I said, I think Germany did a great job of developing the fan base and getting people to understand what the game was all about. So, but it was entertaining, and it was fun. They got it, and I think they enjoyed it too.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. So let's move on to the Falcons. So, of course, come back to the U.S. and join up with the Falcons. And, of course, I'm sitting here wearing my Falcons hat, my Falcons shirt. I'm an Atlanta guy. Sherwin's an Atlanta guy. We're super excited to have you on and all that. Just being able to talk to somebody who we watched play for so long. The first thing I think of is throwing ball with Michael Vick. We would joke that he is, he's throwing it on a rope, and especially as a slot receiver or something, for 15 yards, he's throwing it as hard as he would when he's, 60 yards away. Is that what it felt like for you?
It did. At times it did. And early in his career, Mike had a fastball and not much else. He could throw that ball 75 yards down the field, and he could throw it through your chest 6 yards away. So it's part of the reason he and I had so much success together, because he relied on me to catch the football, which I did a good job with him for the most part. And Algie Crumpler was another guy that Vic relied on big time. But yeah, I think he had a tough time finding that touch early in his career. When he came out of prison and was able to go to the Philadelphia Eagles and work with Andy Reid, you could really see a difference in reading the defense and having a little more touch on his passes. And that's studying, that's understanding of football defenses and leverages and everything else. But with that said, he had some nice touch balls to me. He would give me some jump balls all over the place. I had some Sports Center type catches on the sideline. He threw me jump balls down the field. We had a really nice connection when it came to red zone stuff. If I scored, 14 of my 19 touchdowns with Vic, I bet 10 of them were on fade routes down by the goal line, and a handful of 2-point conversions as well. So we had a great connection, a great rapport, and it just worked, and I'm glad it did. It was so much fun to play with a guy who's such a competitor.
Do you keep up with him at all, or any of the old team guys?
Yeah, sure. I just Morton Anderson's wife sent me a text last week, and she's having a 60th birthday celebration for him. First of all, I said, "Holy crack, Morton Anderson's 60 years old."
No kidding.
Number one, and then I recorded a video for him. But I stay in touch with Mort, Keith Brooking from time to time. I just saw Doug Johnson. He was a backup to Michael Vick, played at Florida, and is here for about 3 or 4 years. He was up here with this kid in Atlanta. He lives in Florida, down in Gainesville, but he came up for a baseball tournament. Got to catch up with him, which is always nice. Keith Brooking, I think it may have said. Still talk to Matt Ryan a little bit from more recent, Roddy White. So, yeah, Michael Jenkins. You have probably a core group of 10 or 15 guys you try to stay in touch with at least monthly to keep yourself sane and remember the good times. And even to just keep kind of tabs on each other, too, because as we know, we went through a gauntlet, and I'm glad the changes have happened the way they have for the NFL and tackling and keeping your head up and not spearing dudes. But I mean, you think about Keith Brooking and the amount of concussions he probably had on a football field. You just to stay in touch with those guys, make sure everybody's doing great, and reach out to them is great. I went back and I watched my very last game, which was the Green Bay playoff game in 2010. It would have been January of 2011 when Aaron Rodgers was like 34 of 38, and we had an unfortunate interception return for a touchdown right before halftime. That was my last game as a Falcon, and I just watched it for the first time about 2.5 months ago. I found it on DVD, the TV copy, and I was watching it, and I was texting Matt and Todd McClure and a handful of guys, and it just brought back a bunch of memories. So a couple group texts here and there, and try to stay in touch as much as you possibly can, because once you leave that locker room, man, you're not necessarily forgotten, but you're definitely not on the top of mind much at all.
Not on the day-to-day there. My dad is buddies with a guy who grew up with Keith Brookings' dad, and I had a chance to meet Keith Brooking after a game once, and I believe I was a senior in college at the time, and Keith was, if I recall, he's not all that much older than me and you, Sherwin.
Yeah, he came out of Tech in '96. I think I was already a freshman in high school.
Yeah. Well, here I am looking at a guy who's, I don't know, maybe 4, 6 years older than me, and he was a man, and I was a boy. I tell you what, that was the first time I think I had met maybe an NFL player in person. Maybe I've seen somebody or whatever else, but standing up next to Keith Brooking was like, I cannot believe how, this guy hitting me would be the end of my world.
Isn't that crazy, the size of those guys and everything else that goes into it? And the speed he played with was crazy as well.
Yeah.
Special football player and played a long time in the NFL, and to be 6'2", 240, 250, and run the way he did was pretty good.
And I'm
well, don't sell yourself short, Brian. You're no slouch in the height and width department either. And I don't mean your midsection; I mean your shoulders.
Yeah, I know. It was feels like a long time ago, but you're exactly right. It was. Listen, I think the heaviest I got, I played at 6'5" with the cleats on, probably 6'6", 6'7", and then the heaviest I ever was about 224 pounds, but I tried to play between 212 and 215, and it worked out well for me because I had to play special teams and go down and try to, throw my body around and tackle dudes. So, yeah, you're exactly right.
Well, I didn't really know this. Sorry, Rusty, I'm interrupting.
Have it.
I didn't really know this so much until I went back and sort of looked at some highlights of your career. And I'm not talking about in preparation for the show, but just looking back on you after meeting you and listening to you on the radio and whatnot. And just how devastating of a blocker / hitter you were.
You know what? I just love being on the field. I did. And, blind peel back hits were legal back then.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad they're not anymore because haven't coached my kids in football since I retired and been around the game with some of the youth. There's no place for it. That's where a lot of the injuries happen. And I'm glad they're making some of the changes they have because you can block a guy that's not looking at you easy, but just by almost bear hugging him and holding him up as opposed to putting your helmet in his chin and knocking his block off. So I'm glad it's changed, but I love playing the game. I love being on the field any chance I got. Starting my career being cut twice in Seattle and Philadelphia and finally landing in Atlanta on the practice squad. I was willing to do anything I could to be out there. And I probably spent 8 or 9 years on special teams as a core special team player, whether it was left wing on punt or punt coverage or punt returner. I was a backup punt returner. I learned how to long snap at one point. Derek Rackley taught me how to long snap just in case a couple guys got hurt. Covered kickoffs, return kickoffs. So kind of a jack of all trades. And then obviously blocking is a big part of what we did, especially when we had Michael Vick and T.J. Duckett and Warwick Dunn, and we just wore people out. We wore people out with the run game. I think we had 2 years in a row where we absolutely wore people out with the run game and led the league in rushing. So if you can do all those things and play slot and play outside and learn all the positions, there's a good chance you can do like I did and last a long time in the NFL, even though you don't have some of the skill sets some of those studs do. So
you transitioned to broadcast after the career and everything, and what were some of the biggest challenges or shocks for you? Me and Sherwin have been doing this thing for now 5 years. We were talking with Joe Hamilton just the other day. We were talking with drivers and other people and media folks, and I mean, we still feel like we have no idea what we're doing. We're imposters in this game. There's some professionals out there, and I have no idea what's going on. And we love to talk about how our first few shows, which are on the internet, they're sitting out there, but they are hot garbage. So curious how your transition was, going into that.
It was gradual, man. And when you talk about hot garbage, my first deal on the radio was probably 2004, 2003. I had an hour-long radio show every Tuesday, at a Pontiac Buick GMC Hummer dealership up on Cobb Parkway. It was Perry Laurentino and Max Howell here locally in Atlanta on 680 The Fan.
Oh, Laurentino. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Listen, people can bang on Perry because he was a Pittsburgh fan and he was a bit of a curmudgeon at times. But you talk about being prepared and knowing your stuff and reading up on everything and having an opinion. He had it dialed in, and he was really good at what he did, and I learned a lot from all those guys. So working with Perry and Max, I learned a lot. Then I went back to playing football, tore my knee up 2 years in a row. So the second time I tore it up, I called 680 again, and I said, can I get an internship, working a couple days a week? I do not want to be around Bobby Petrino, who was our head coach at the time. It was a miserable situation. Michael Vick had just either got hurt. No, he just went to prison. The whole locker room was a disaster, and they didn't want me around there, and I didn't want to be around there as I was on IR. So I worked Monday, Thursday, Friday on 680 The Fan, and I was kind of like just a football guy, very mellow, didn't have a lot of opinions, didn't know really where I stood. It was not very good. So, but I got my feet wet, and I got some experience, and I learned from John Kincaid, and I learned from Christopher Rude, and I learned from Sandra Golden, and all these different people. I was able to take a little bit of their style and learn from it. I played 3 more years in the NFL. I retired in 2011, and I tried to play that year, but nobody picked me up. So my daughter got home from school one day, and I was like, what do you got for homework? Do you have any tests tomorrow? What are you guys doing after school tomorrow? Do you want to go do something? So my daughter went up to my wife. She said, is Dad going to be home every day I get home from school? Because this is getting old quick. So my wife's like, you got to go get a job. I was like, all right. So I called 680. I called 680 again, and they gave me like a 6-week kind of trial deal during the football season in 2011, and the rest is kind of history, as they say. But like you guys say, when I say hot garbage, my first live read that I did in one of my endorsements, my hands were shaking, my heart was beating 1,000,000 miles an hour. I mumbled my way through it. I stuttered. It was almost like it was 4th and goal with the Super Bowl on the line. I was so nervous. It was ridiculous because you're not used to it. It's all about repetition. And the more I've done it now for 9 years, you get more comfortable and you get better at it. So it's all about repetition and doing it, and that's kind of how I grew. And I was lucky to have guys like John Kincaid and Sandra and the people I work with now helping me along the way.
Now, we know we have only a few more minutes with you, and we wanted to get this one in. You've probably been asked this a million times, but perhaps folks who didn't know you before or weren't following along or whatever may have heard at least 15 years or so ago when Madden 25 came out. And apparently there's some sort of glitch in there to where they made all your stats. You were beast mode. You were the greatest player in the history of the NFL, in the history of Madden football. I wondered what your reaction was, when you found out about that, and what your thoughts were on that.
So NFL Madden called me to say they're doing their all 25 Legend team, whatever it was called, and I was one of the starting receivers, and it was me and Randy Moss, and then Jerry Rice was our backup, I believe, which is the most ridiculous thing you could ever imagine. But with that said, Michael Vick was the greatest Madden player, quite possibly of all time. He was unstoppable. So I played 5 years with Mike, and I think we had my 1 year when I had 56 catches and 856 yards and 6 touchdowns and a couple 2-point conversions. I mean, we were lights out, and people played with the Falcons because they wanted to play with Michael Vick. So in turn, people played with Brian Finneran, and they realized that at 6'5", and at one point at 6'7", for some reason Madden made me 6'7", Vick could throw the ball up anywhere he wanted to in my vicinity, and I'll go get it. And part of that was because we did it in real life. We did it on jump balls where he ran around in circles in the backfield and then threw it as far as he could, and I would jump up and catch it on the 4-yard line and have that. Or like I said, the fade routes that I caught in the back of the end zone on the sideline, a bunch of those were with Vic that year. So there was some truth to this thing, but it definitely got blown out of proportion. My speed went way higher than it should have been. My jumping ability was through the roof because of those plays I made that I talked about. And I caught just about everything he threw to me that year, so my catching ability was ridiculous as well. So before you know it, everybody, not only in the country, but really around the world, was playing Madden with the Atlanta Falcons, 2003, 2004 teams, where Mike and I had such a good rapport. I was just reaped the rewards of that. So I was in the airport one time, God, I don't even know what year it was, 05, 06, and I saw Brett Hall, who was playing, I think at the time, with the Detroit Red Wings. I might be wrong about this, but the whole hockey team is in the airport waiting for some connection that got canceled, and I went over just to say what's up, and they started talking about exactly what you guys are talking about now. They said they had the nickname for me, it was Glitch, because in the game, whatever they did, whenever they threw me the ball, I would catch it and break a couple tackles, score touchdown, whatever it was. So it's fun, and my claim to fame is that I was on the All Madden 25 team, and I finally reached my full potential on a video game. So there you go.
Always humble.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I love it. Well, that's a fantastic way to see you out, Brian. It's been a blast talking with you, and maybe we'll have you back on sometime if you're amenable.
Yeah, if I can figure out that freaking Skype thing, we'll do it. You guys got to get Zoom up and running. I got Zoom dominated, but I don't have Skype up and running. I tried to do it on my wife's computer because mine was dead, and she didn't have the right system to work with it. But whatever, we'll figure it out next time for sure.
Right on. Yeah. We'll get the Zoom thing working. I think it's about time to move over toward it. Like 5 years ago, Skype was kind of that was a thing. Zoom is kind of it was not the thing, and then now it's the thing. So keeping up with the thing is a thing. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, I watched about 90 minutes of that super Zoom y'all did. I can't remember what we were even supposed to be watching. It was way back early April, maybe. You probably remember, where it was like 16 of y'all on the screen at the same time. It was fun seeing. It was fun seeing who can actually talk some smack and who can't.
No question. It was always fun, and then you catch up with different people. Or I think we did a 680 happy hour with some of the gang, and had a good time with that. So it's fun, and you can catch up with people, especially in this crazy world we're living in with freaking Big Ten canceling football and everything else that's going on right now. Hopefully the NFL stays strong and make it happen, and I believe they will, and just can't wait. What do we got, 33 days till the Falcons kick off week 1 and get to Seattle Seahawks in a do-or-die year for Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff for sure. So players got to step and play, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're capable of this year with some really, really good talent on the offensive side of the ball. Looks like Calvin Ridley is just, I don't know what he's been lifting and eating, but he looks great. Julio always is a monster. Can Todd Gurley come through and do what he's supposed to do and kind of revive his career for another few years as a running back with some mileage on him, and a young kind of tight end with not that much mileage on him, and Hayden Hurst. So I think if the offensive line can kind of figure it out and keep Matt upright, this could be a really good, surprising year for the Atlanta Falcons, and I think they can sneak up on some people.
Man, now you got me pumped.
Calvin Ridley looked like a superhero in that picture they took of him at practice.
Isn't that crazy, dude? I talked to Matt this offseason, and Calvin made it out to California once or twice to go work out with Matt, and Matt made the exact same comment about he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, which doesn't seem possible for a guy that's got, 17 touchdowns and 1,700 yards in his first couple seasons. So he's an impressive kid, and to play next to Julio Jones, there's no better thing for a number 2 receiver that's looking to be a number 1 guy. So we're lucky to have him. Just got to protect Matt with that young offensive line, and hopefully Alex Mack can stay healthy. And I think the sky's the limit if the defense can do. I mean, if they can be top 15, I think you got a really good shot to do something special.
Hopefully we win a lot of 27-22 games.
That would be nice.
Awesome. Well, Brian, we appreciate it very much for hanging out with us for a little bit and talking some football here on a NASCAR show. So we're excited to do it again either way.
Yeah, no doubt. Talk to you on NASCAR. What's happening? It looks like 2 or 3 guys are winning every freaking race I turn around and watch.
Well, yeah, so that's
right.
We don't have much of a show to talk about after this because there's pretty much sweeping the field with what's going on. It's nuts.
Have you guys enjoyed it this year, watching it, be able to be a part of it, and glad it's back and everything else that's going on?
You want to take this, Russ, or you want me to go?
I'll say this: it's the only sport right now, or for a while there, it was the only sport. And so I was enjoying being able to actually watch some sort of sporting event. It's been a wild roller coaster season, and who knows what it would have been without that if we'd have had the same domination and everything. You know, that we're only going to a certain number of certain tracks. We're not going to every track and everything else. So, you know what? In the end, I think almost every sport is going to have an asterisk on it at the end of this season. So be it with NASCAR, but the fact that we get to watch something, I'll just take it, you know?
What do we got coming up this week for NASCAR, and is there anybody I should be betting on?
That's a great question. This is going to be one of the weirdest things that NASCAR's ever done because they've never done it. They're racing the IMSA road course at Daytona with an extra chicane because they're going to be too fast and too heavy. But it's definitely worth a look-see. All 3 series are going to be there. If you prefer an hour-and-a-half race with a whole crap load of wrecks, then the truck race on Friday night is probably your best bet.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole weekend's going to be pretty fun.
So Chase Elliott,
if
you want to be a homer for Atlanta, Chase Elliott, I looked up the odds, has the highest odds of winning there. He's the
best road course racer in NASCAR right now.
Yep, at this point.
Is that right?
Yep.
He is.
What, 3 of the last 4? Something like that? Pretty good.
I didn't realize that. That's crazy. Yeah, that's wild and crazy.
I'll check it out. I've been to Talladega, I've been to Atlanta Motor Speedway, I've been to Bristol. I think at the time Bristol had just changed some rules where it was what I remember being a fascinating bang 'em up race. Became the most boring race when I was there. But with that said, I spent 3 days there in an RV, and we had an unbelievable time. The people watching and the people we meet was awesome. And then I was in the pits at Talladega with my buddy Corey Wire, who's at CNN now. At the time, he was working with Fox Sports. That was pretty special. And then you do really get a good feel and an appreciation for what those guys do and what they go through on a day-to-day and a weekly basis, and what goes into winning races and even being in the mix. So it's impressive, no doubt about it.
I don't think we could have described it any better. That's probably the same story we've told 150 times at this point. That just go, stay the whole damn weekend, drink beer with your buddies, grill, and then there just happens to be about 2 or 3 hours each day where you get to go into the track and watch loud cars go fast.
That's right.
I love it. All right, I'll look at Chase Elliott, and then if you guys have any other leads for me as the race gets closer, hit me up.
Yeah, we'll text you. Awesome. Well, take care, Brian. We appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for having me. Enjoy
Thanks,
it.
Brian.
Thanks. See ya. Oh, Sherwin. Good fun, man.
We got like 3/4 of a show left to do. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
No, that was awesome.
Oh, it's
Brian gave us 15 extra minutes.
Whatever it is. Yep. Well, with that, y'all, let's switch over to NASCAR. It's time to tear it down. Good night. That might have been really loud. So apologies if I just blew out your eardrums there. But here we go, Sherwin. We already talked about it. Oh, by the way, hold on. Everybody hold on 1 second. Hold on. Yeah. Here it is. That's the horn, baby. That was the horn for old CJ, man. So CJ, he said last week, we don't get to Monday without Harvick or Hamlin getting a win. He was very confident in that, and he was half right. I guess he was fully right if he said or, but unbelievable to me that Harvick gets a sweep there. 9 straight top 5s. Like, he hasn't finished out of the top 5 in like 2 months.
Yeah, pretty well. I mean, we've had a couple double headers, so maybe it's only 3 or 4 weeks, but it's still the same. I mean, the same weight behind the concept,
right? And people are talking about the big three. I feel like it's the big one, two other guys, and the field. You know what I mean?
I like the way you put that because I think you're right. You know, it's a. I'm sure we'll get to it. I don't know. Are we going to get to the Brad thing, or
I mean, we're on it. Let's
talk about that now?
We don't. Yeah.
Well, so you have Brad's part of the two other guys, obviously.
Yep.
Like, boy, wouldn't it have been nice for whatever that deal was didn't happen, just so we could see whether the 12 or the 2 was actually the fastest car of those two cars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they were going to compete with Harvick or not. It was going to probably take some restart games and all that stuff. But it's a crying shame we didn't get to see, you know, what Brad and Blaney really had to finish the race.
Right. For
this exact reason is we do have kind of the one and then like the 1.5 and then like maybe 2 other guys.
Yeah.
So it's like 3.5 guys. Really.
Yeah. I'm just, I think I said it either last week or the week before, and I was like, I've never seen this kind of domination. I mean, maybe we saw it with Jeff Gordon in like 99 or 98, whenever it was that he had like a 5.7 average finish.
98.
And,
yeah.
And
Harvick, look at that year, y'all, if you haven't yet. Jeez.
Well, Harvick gets one more top 5, and he is he beats Jeff Gordon's average finish. Now he'd have to keep with that same average for a while, but like he can pass Jeff Gordon's average. That's bonkers. I don't know what to say.
I want to say Gordon had 30 top 5s that year. Yeah. It was absurd.
Yeah, I mean, we could be talking. We talked last week about, is this a double-digit win season for Harvick? I believe that's what we said, and then he went on and won 2 more races since we talked about that.
Right, and it's very much in play at this point. I mean, you got to figure any 1.5 miles we go to, he's going to be in the first 3 people that you discuss about who can win the race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know what else to say about the race other than, well, I did pick. I was pretty happy with myself. I picked. I know we were doing the box ones, but I really felt Brad for the double. I felt Brad back to back, go to Michigan, finally get that win at his home track, and finish second on Saturday, and then DiBenedetto with the 7th place finish there on Sunday. We'll talk about it more when we get to our picks. But you boxed in Almirola and Blaney, taking their best finishes. Blaney 4th in that first race, and Almirola 6th in the second. So feels like we're not. This week we weren't stupid.
Right. Yeah. Just this week, though. We really can only claim that week to week.
Right. And it's a coin flip is all it is. The choose cone really came in, or choose rule, I guess, because cone, whatever. But, don't tell Orange Cone I said that.
You know how NASCAR is with their branding and whatnot.
Yeah. But choose rule, choose cone thing, we saw Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch take advantage of that. I thought it was super cool seeing Chase. It's exactly what the choose rule is supposed to be. He's like, I'm taking the cone. And he goes down to the bottom. He outdrives everybody and takes the lead. Now, it wasn't for super long because Harvick was fast, as it turns out. But I thought that was really cool to see that actually in action and to see. I thought NBC did a great job with it too.
Yeah, I mean it's a fun rule. I like it. And, as long as it doesn't cost us laps because they can't figure out how to line everybody up, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a fun rule because, it's like every other podcast is probably going to talk about or has already talked about this week is, it makes people make interesting decisions that then they have to own. And so you can't whine about which line you're in if you chose it.
I love that.
So it's going to take that aspect out of the sport.
I love that. I love the not sandbagging on pit road or any of that stuff. Do it out on the track and make people make a decision. I'm cool with that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what that's going to do. Is going to eliminate all that nonsense that happens on the exit of pit road.
Right. So yeah, all for it. And liking what I'm seeing so far with folks deciding to take advantage of it. Did you hit your funny bone there?
Oh yeah,
Like a grimace. That'll happen. On to second period, because I don't feel like there's there were 2 whole races, and I feel like there's not too much to talk about other than, well, yep, Harvick won them. But
let's go second.
The silly season continues. I guess it's not too big of a surprise, but finally in ink or whatever that Christopher Bell is replacing Eric Jones at Gibbs after this season, with LFR shutting down, and I guess related story, LFR, inking the deal, things that we kind of all thought was probably going to happen with Spire Motorsports. They're expanding 2 cars, and some rumors of Justin Haley going into that car. So a lot there to digest, Sherwin, wherever you want to start.
Yeah, well, I think what this does for Spire is, it brings in, I mean, they've been here for a minute, so I don't want to discredit them for that. They've been around for a little while now. But it's an entirely different kind of business than we typically see show up and run race cars. And when they bought the shop from Bob, and they bought all the equipment that's inside it except the race cars, which were actually owned by Joe Gibbs. Those all went back to Gibbs. But they got all of the manufacturing equipment that is in the LFR garage, and it already was built to house 2, as we're now aware that was Bob's plan until, obviously, his construction business probably has suffered quite a bit. So, anywho, Justin Haley. Kids clearly, expressing the, the concept that he might be really good at this.
Right, right.
Very much like the Reddick situation. They're basically the same human being. They just look a little bit different.
No, I totally agree. He has all the trappings of, well, it's time to, I shouldn't say put up or shut up. That's almost a derogatory way of putting it. But he's ready for the mainstream, for the Cup. So I'm happy to see him coming in. We'll see what kind of power that team can create. So maybe this is a jumping off point or something, but really cool to see him in a Cup car. Starting next year, possibly. This is rumors right now, so I don't know. That's
definitely just a rumor at this point. I think what'll be interesting to find out is who Spire partners with to buy chassis, at least in the beginning. They may figure out how to hang their own bodies, but a lot of that stuff gets parted and pieced out until you can build your shop. And I'm curious. They were running, I think, Toyotas, so we'll see, will they stay with Toyota or not?
Yeah. Sherwin, third period, Bubba Wallace, 9th on Saturday, and then reveals that he's had an offer from Chip Ganassi.
Yeah, they've been, this has been that murmur in the back of the room that you kind of like, oh, what's that noise over there? But yeah, I mean, so Bubba, they talked about the petty, potential ownership piece, but there's a lot of good points made about how nobody really knows what the value of Richard Petty's charter is. Is it the $6 million that Spires bought theirs for, or is it the $2 million that Front Row sold one of theirs for? Like, those are big. That's a big difference, 300%. So, I don't know. I would think that Bubba should probably absolutely entertain anything Chip Ganassi has to say. And McDonald's is definitely playing a role in this.
That's a good point, too. And I think it was last week we were talking about that deal with RPM and possible ownership stake and all that. And it felt at the time like that was a offer so good you can't refuse, And but it, if you might as well have your ear to the ground anyway, and continue hearing stuff. And if the Ganassi stuff turns out, that's some strong equipment right there. So yeah, I agree. If Chip Ganassi is giving you a call, you pick up the phone.
Yeah, because the chances are, Bubba's probably, he's not getting a paycheck. He's getting a paycheck, and it's a nice one. There's definitely a crooked number and then 5 more figures after it. Now, I don't know how big the crooked number is. I would say it's probably a 3. Yeah. maybe a 4, probably a 3. Still plenty of money. He lives by modest means, as you can see. He's got a small house with his, longtime girlfriend. He's probably I bet he's more business savvy than anybody would ever want to give him credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why he should sign with Chip Ganassi, because there's going to be 7 digits on that salary.
Yeah. Or there might be 7 digits after the crooked one. Eventually, who knows where that goes. But, yeah. Which, the only downside is I've got to buy if he moves, I got to buy more Bubba gear because, and I'll tell you what, that's one of the problems I would say with, and I guess it's in all sports because people get traded around and stuff. But, I mean, if you bought a Chipper Jones jersey in 1995, you could have worn it in 2012. It's no problem, right? But if you
what's 95. That's when he switched to 10. You're right. Absolutely right.
Right. So if you buy a really nice Richard Petty number 43 Bubba Wallace fleece in 2020, ask me how I know. What's it going to be next year? Because I've got a number 9 hat with him. I got a 43 everything now. So I guess I just got to keep buying stuff. So good on them.
Well, I think that seems to be the nature of the beast, right? You have those journeyman football players and baseball players that are actually really good, and they attract a lot of attention, but for whatever reason can't stay with a particular club. That's NASCAR to a T. I think. How many times have we seen somebody wearing their XYZ, like, I don't know, their junior shirt from the Budweiser number 8 days at a race last year?
Right. Well, everybody knows what the I guess to your point, if you put the sponsor on it, and I guess if they're well known enough, then everybody knows who the number 8 Budweiser car is. So be it.
Well, that's true, and that's why I'll still wear a Casey Kane. I'm actually wearing a Casey Kane hat right now. It's the number 4 Red Bull hat because I love this friggin' hat. But I'd wear this to a race. I'm like, who are you rooting for? And I'm like, I don't know. The 9 car.
Yeah,
9 car
somewhere. 4 kind of
looks
that
4 like around.
Yeah. It's close enough. Sherwin, it's time once again to talk playoffs. Playoffs.
We got to get Jim Moore on here.
I know, at some point. Here it is. Outside, looking in. Same 3. Jones, Johnson, Reddick. Jones and Johnson. Eric Jones, Jimmy Johnson, 26 points out. Reddick, starting to look a little bit more out of reach at 36. And then on the inside, looking out, William Byron, he's the one who's 26 to the good. Burrito and Boyer, 57 and 60 points. They're also looking like, unless something crazy happens, that they're probably going to be pretty safe. So we're looking, as far as I'm concerned, we're looking at Eric Jones, Jimmy Johnson, and William Byron, and it is still hard for me to bet against Jimmy Johnson in this case, especially with the wild card sort of stuff that we have coming up. And I think he's made up a little ground here already. So yeah, I'm not counting him out.
And you shouldn't. What I wonder is, does Jones now have whatever that extra 1% of motivation is that gives you an extra 10th on the track, just because he knows he's trying to find a suitor. And I wonder if that's going to, just give him that one extra little piece that, professional athletes, they seem to be able to find when things are weird, like when Jordan had the flu, which was actually food poisoning because he ate bad sushi, and we didn't find that out till about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's just that one motivating factor that really turns your brain on.
Right. Well, I mean, and what's the other motivating factors? Jimmy Johnson, I mean, of course, his last season, go all out, go crazy. I think my voice cracked there, but so be it. But yeah, we'll see, of course. And the Daytona road course, what better place to, I don't know, see what happens. I guess to your point though, or to all the points there, anything could happen there. Eric Jones comes out a winner. Tyler Reddick comes out a winner. Who knows? So I think there's a lot of people.
Burrito is the one that I kind of got my eyes on. Like, Absolutely. He's a really good little road racer, and they obviously have a good car.
Yeah, absolutely. And
he's not little at all. He's giant.
How many races do we have left now? Is it like 4 or 5? I can't remember.
I want to say it's 5.
Okay. All right. So we got Daytona, we got Dover Double, we got Daytona again, There's one more in there.
Darlington.
Darlington. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Southern 500. So, yeah.
They're going to allow fans. If old Roller wants to roll down there, I might go with him. But he asked me, he's like, y'all going to go? And I'm like, no. And he goes, yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
But that was last week. And then,
and then now
we're going to get closer and closer and closer. And they're going to be like, we're going to let 25,000 fans come. We're like, well, let's go give it a shot.
Oh, man. We got a fifth period here. Did you see Richard Childress's? Richard Childress's Port Orange, Florida home is up for sale. $1.3 million. You want to go in halvesies?
Halvesies. All right. Well, we're going to need a financial backer.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah, the Patreon money just ain't doing it for the 1.3. We're close, but yeah, it's gonna be a minute before we can come up with that.
But everybody in the posse is allowed to come if we end up with it.
Oh man, what a freaking party! It will be appraised at about, I don't know, $150 after we're done with it on a party.
Right.
Oh,
we'll have to hire security, I would imagine.
Well, Sherwin, we have the new theme song at the top of the show. You heard it. We have. I'm at a loss for words in that we're super excited for Sydney Lett. There's only so much that we can say here, but the reason that we're not using her song is that it is being used elsewhere, and so we are very happy for her and super excited that maybe that song that she's let us use for so long is might get a much wider audience than the PTM posse.
Absolutely. She was so gracious when she texted me and said, I need you guys to stop using it. Like you could almost hear her being like whimpering.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just told her, I said, Sydney, this is what we always wanted for you. And this is what we always assumed was going to happen. We were going to eventually get this text.
Yeah.
That we had a good run. We had 180 episodes.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, well,
or somewhere around in there, 170 something episodes. That's a long time for us. If you figure we average 49 episodes a year, that's it's over 4 years.
Well, so it was almost like rent. It was like free rent at Richard Childress's $1.3 million house in Port Orange, Florida, and he finally said, "All right, fellas, I found a buyer." All right.
Yeah, we're going to need some rent.
Yeah.
In the form of, you can't use my song anymore.
No.
But she has offered to write a new one.
Well.
And I brought my guitar with me, and I'm going to leave it here in Statesville in hopes that I could somehow play at least one chord while they record it so that I can say that I'm part of it.
There you go. I love it.
But I bet I could help them write it. I mean, I'm good at words. Sometimes.
I was going to say, you give me enough drinks, and I'm only down to 3 letters and fewer words, but, maybe I can put together something. Well, Sherwin, let's talk about it. Oh, I didn't even bring up our gas it up. Whatever. I'm not going to hunt for it at this point. Daytona road course, dude.
Oh yeah, we got to do some picks.
Well, this is like the I don't know what else to say about it other than I'm looking forward to it so much. I feel like we've switched. I don't know, the context of the whole season has switched at this point. What were we looking forward to before? The Pocono Double. That was going to be the thing, and now it's like this feels like the thing to me. How about you?
I'm 100%. When they said they were going to run the road course, I was like jumping around the house, like not breaking stuff, but wanting to break something,
right.
That kind of like, oh, this is going to be so cool. And then I started doing some math, and I was like, we're going to need a front stretch chicane. And then, I'm not kidding you, 35 seconds later, somebody tweeted out, yeah, they're going to probably put a front stretch chicane in. I'm like, duh.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, and I'm not belittling here, if you don't, we've got a huge problem.
Nobody's going to be able to stop and make that first turn.
Right. I saw a quote from Harvick who said, because they were like, "Oh, what do you think about leading the to the green flag at Daytona Road Course. He's like, as if I have a clue what I'm doing. Are you kidding me? It was really
and
good.
And he's won at Watkins Glen as the fastest road course on the circuit until this weekend.
Yeah. So it'll be a comedy show or an amazing show. You know, really, I hope it comes out like Roval. If you remember, the first time they ran Roval, I was saying I was sitting there with my notepad to write down all the ways that this is the stupidest thing that's ever happened in the history of racing. And like 10 laps later, I put it down, and I'm glued to the TV watching an amazing race happen. So hopefully it's the same thing.
You know what? I really do think it will be, and it could be just absolute optimism that's blooming in me because I think this is a really fun idea to change the way, the perspective that we give Daytona. Now, Daytona's going to get 3 races this year, so good for them. ISC stole from whoever they stole from within their own platform, but that's just the way it needs to go in these weird circumstances. But this race is going to be so much fun, and the fact that we get all 3 series, I'm still on the Brett Griffin gravy train of the All-Star race needs to be 10 vehicles from all 3 series racing at the Daytona Roval.
I love it. Well, sir, why don't we do it? Let's do some picks. Let's see. CJ, we said last week, he picked Harvick and Kyle Busch. If I take their best 2 races finishes, then I have, it's either 1-5 or 1-4. So good picking on him. Almirola 6, Blaney 4th, and then I picked Brad and Burrito 2nd and 7th. So I was like, I kind of went outside your 2 picks, and CJ beat us both. But it doesn't matter. So who you got for the Daytona Road Course, sir?
Man, I want to think on this for about just a couple seconds. Apologize to everybody for the pause because I've been trying to think about this for the last 10 minutes knowing it was coming. Who do I want on the road course for Shiggles? I'm going to take Tyler Reddick.
Tyler Reddick. Can we have like a PETM pick of Chase? Just to say that we picked him? Because, I mean, if I don't pick him, then, then I look stupid. But because I want to have
I will put up a poll that has, and I'll text Brandon and find out what his pick is, and I'll put the poll up tonight.
Excellent.
And there will be a PTM pick in there.
Excellent. I love it. You know what? I know you've already said no. Wait. I'm switching. I'm switching now. I'm switching to one you picked last week. I'm going Almirola this time.
Ooh. He's actually not real bad at road course racing. People just don't notice. As
it turns out, he is just fine, sir. So, yeah, that was...
no, he's got a ton of top 10s.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to see. So, anyway, there it is, y'all. Chase Elliott for the PTM pick, and then Reddick and Almirola to close it out. And speaking of closing out, Sherwin, we're right on our 1-hour timer here. So why don't you close us out? Tell the folks where they can find you, what's coming up.
All right. Well, you can find me at Andrew Sherwin at Pregame Engineer, both on the Instagram and on the Twitters. And then, Rusty, I guess, take it away for you and the PTM Podcast.
There we go. Y'all know where to find us. PTMPodcast.com, at PTM Podcast. On the Twitter handle, as always, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, at Tailgate Mayor. We can't wait to see y'all next week after the Daytona Roval. Or I should stop calling it Roval. After the Daytona Road Course. It's going to be a blast. We will talk to y'all then and take us out with the new song. There we go.
Boom.
What's up, YouTubers? PTM is After Dark.
Oh, we are after dark, and it's early after dark.
I was going to say
this is when they're used to showing up.
It's
Y'all
barely
ready for some after dark.
Yeah, it's barely dark. Let's see. I got to say,
and I'm actually east of you by quite a bit.
That's true.
it's a little dark here, but it's still a little blue out there, just a little bit. No, it's not.
I was going to say, it's
pretty dark.
pretty dark here, yeah. Yeah, I think we're there. Brian Finneran, how cool is he?
Beyond cool. As I knew he would be. He's got his cadence down. He's got 9 years of the big time radio.
Right. He's got us by well, not even not double. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, except for he does it for 3 hours every day for 5 days a week.
I don't know how I could even keep paying attention after 3 hours. That's like having a 3-hour meeting every day. You know what I mean? Like that's amazing to me. Impressive.
I think we could do a 3-hour show, but what we'd have to do is line up 3 guests.
Probably, and I would just
we would have to take piss breaks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they do it, man. That would be very difficult.
Well, they do get a lot of dead time. Radio's even less than TV, so if like an hour long, what is an hour long broadcast show? 44 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so radio's about 3 minutes shorter than that. They only do about 41.
Okay.
Per hour.
Yeah. I guess if you just feed me topics, I mean, and that's what you'd need. You need a producer. You need somebody feeding you stuff. Hey, talk about this now. Oh, okay, we'll talk about that. But yeah, that's a lot of talking.
It is. I guess we did one that was almost 2 hours one time, and I don't know. I guess we had such a good guest we didn't even realize how much time we'd burned up.
Oops.
But yeah, I mean, I still like the way we're doing it. Somewhere between 60 and 70 minutes is probably perfect.
Yeah.
Especially as we always encourage people to use their 1.5x playback to close the gaps in our somewhat flat but still existent Southern accents.
Right. Oh man. I'm conscious about it when like I'm at work and one of my family members calls, like my mom calls or something, and it's not like a light bulb switch to where I'm just, hey, how are you? It's not like that, but I'm conscious that, oh man, this is a little bit different. People haven't heard this one yet. Just a slight tweak. You know what I mean? Things get a little more drawn.
You know what? When I'm talking to my mom, that happens to me very easily. And, my mom doesn't have that. I mean, she didn't have that super strong Southern accent because she's had all that language teaching that kind of smashed it out of her, which is probably the way I talk, the way I do. Mm-hmm. But, when she's on the phone, though, it turns into that pretty quick. I mean, it's not all talking about how the best way to make grits is, but
right.
It gets a little Southern.
Yeah. Oh, let's see here. Well, now I'm just kind of clicking around. I got.
All right. Does anybody? All right, y'all. We're in the After Dark section, so you can start asking your rated R questions.
Oh God.
I'm not saying we're going to sit up here and turn this thing into Pulp Fiction. I'm just saying, this is not going to be on the iTunes, so nobody's going to steal away our G rating.
Right. Yeah, Sydney. Very cool for Sydney. And we are, I mean, seriously, genuinely excited that she's got this opportunity. So we're, obviously, there's the slight bummer of, well, we can't use that song anymore, but it's completely overshadowed with the success and everything. So, yeah, exciting.
Yeah, I wanted to go on that for a long string. I don't need to though, but yeah, I mean, when I got that text, I smiled.
Oh, I did too, man. I was giddy.
This is awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. And,
yeah.
and she was all apologetic, and I'm like, nah, you be happy. Because we're happy for you, and we knew this was coming.
Right.
You may not have known it because you don't have all that confidence yet, but this was coming.
Exactly.
She's an immense talent as a songwriter and a singer and a guitar player.
Right.
And, we know her. So that's fun, too. I chit-chat with her mom all the time on Facebook.
Oh, man. Oh, there it is. And saving that down and saving that down. 255.
All right.
Okay, get her uploaded.
All right, y'all. We don't have next week lined up just yet. I got some ideas. Well, I don't think we've let you down yet, so we're going to keep on not doing that.
Right on. Let's see. Check the old Twitter. Brian is right though. We should probably look at getting Zoom or something. That has become the new thing, and I'm still
I agree with you. I'm in. I'm not going to fight that. Yeah. I'll figure it out.
And I've got a pro account, like a personal pro account, if you will. Like, I've got it. So, yeah, just got to do that. You remember when we first started, we were doing that, and it was total amateur hour because nobody had Zoom. Nobody knew what Zoom was. If you remember us doing that.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, we've got some old ones. I remember Weaver was on once, and Tommy Joe was on, and he was making fun of us because, like, he was like, I had to dial in, and then I had to hit the conference line number and all this mess and blah, blah, blah. But that was all Zoom, and that was 4 or 5 years ago at this point. And now everybody finally caught up to old Rusty, you know. I was on the bleeding edge.
We've got Microsoft Teams at work.
Okay.
We just use that deal.
Yeah. We let's see. We use Slack mostly, but for meetings,
Teams can put, I don't know how many they can put in there, but I don't know if it's like 3,000 like Zoom can do, but it's a lot because I've been in one that had like 16 people in it.
Oh yeah, yeah. But then we use GoToMeeting, which I mean, it's fine. It's funny. GoToMeeting was kind of the first to really come on the scene with that kind of thing, but their software sucked. It was terrible. And then, like, after Zoom came out, then GoToMeeting was like, hey, we have a whole new look and feel and a whole new UI. You should download the new version. You download it, and it's like, oh, it's Zoom. You, like, copy-pasted everything that they do. Like, good for you.
Yeah, it's like, how long ago did they apply for that patent or trademark or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
It must have been a 10-year job.
So, yeah.
And 25ers are a little bit harder to get past. You really have to have something different.
Download URL. Copy. Paste. And paste again.
Well, I'd say that was a pretty good little success tonight with Brian. He gave us more than we wanted, and we were able to fill it without too many pauses.
Yeah. I had a funny text conversation with my dad, and after the show, just real quick there, I was like, I just got off the phone with Brian Finneran, and he goes, oh, is he a car guy? Now, here's the thing.
Come on, Pat!
That's the way that I interpreted it. What he meant was, he was like, I know exactly who Brian Finneran is.
Okay.
Is he, like, also a car guy? Like, is he also into cars? Is he also into, like, NASCAR stuff? But the way he typed it, it was like, oh, is he a car guy? And I'm like, Dad, me and you used to watch Michael Vick throw him touchdowns. Are you kidding me? Then he comes back to me and he's like, I know who he is, you idiot.
See, I never would have thought that your dad would ever forget who Finneran was. So that's what makes it even more funny.
No, right.
No, you were supposed to understand that I knew, and then
I knew that you knew that blah blah blah. But yeah, it was a funny little exchange there when. Oh man.
That's good. That's real good. Let's see. Tell me when you hit stop, or you don't have to hit stop now. Did somebody ask something? Wife's company is moving there soon to where? Zoom. Okay. Oh yeah, company. I thought when I saw a company, I thought maybe you was having some people over. But he meant like where she works. Good job, Andrew.
She works. I always forget this step. I have to like ping this thing and then mash that and then press that and then refresh. How about now? Today, new episode on iTunes. It's up. It is good to go. So,
boom shakalaka. I wonder if that kicked last week's down in there. That's so weird that it never showed up.
Yeah, it didn't show
on
up.
anything except for in the app, like on your phone.
Yeah, if I knew how that worked, I would do something about it.
Right, and I didn't figure you did because I didn't figure you would just not know that might have happened.
Yeah, well, I guess it's all down. It's all downstream.
What in the weird?
Yeah, it's all downstream for me. So like I publish it out. It's almost like I throw the football out there, and if it gets caught, then it gets caught everywhere. I don't know. That's not a great way to put it, but like it's out there.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, I knew that, and this has happened one time before.
Huh.
Where it didn't show up for like, I mean, it was almost like a couple weeks. I think all of a sudden it filtered in. And I go, there it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, if people are doing it on their phone, then it doesn't matter. Whatever app they have is going to yank it in. It's just, it was all of the spaces that you can look at on a PC. I was like, where the hell is it at? And then until you actually search the official PETM podcast and look at the apple.com link, then you can go to it. But that's, obviously that's not nearly as easy as hitting the purple button on your phone and go, I'm going to listen to this now.
Yeah. I have no earthly idea in that case.
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. People will go back and they'll be like, CJ Wolliver?
Yeah,
man, I want to listen to that.
Right?
I mean, anybody that was actually already subscribed is listened to it. So how about that?
Right.
Whatever. At the end of the day, whatever.
Hit up the old Twitter and tweet. There we go.
B. Finn. Woo! That was fun.
Yeah.
We're definitely having him back. That's happening.
He's just a cool dude,
He was when I met him, Like I said, I walked up to him at Sport and Social, which is kind of the one the Braves sort of hover around the most, like as a company. And he just waltzed right in. And I was like, I know who that is. I was like, I'm not going to, not take this chance. Like, with NASCAR drivers, I'm kind of like, I know who that is. I'll just sit over here in the cut.
Yeah.
But with B. Finn, I was like, I'm in. I got to get in here.
Hey, buddy. Cool. All right, y'all.
Yep.
Well, with
I
that,
guess that's it.
Let's.
We didn't get too much after dark. Maybe we should do some George Carlin. No, I'm kidding. It's all good.
George Carlin.
We behaved ourselves.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Great to see you. Let's hang out again. Let's do it again next week.
We will.